For this week's lesson, we'll be making these cool hot air balloon storybooks so you can tell a personal story of where you'd like to travel to in a hot air balloon. Okay, let's get started. The materials you will need are a ruler, a pair of scissors, some colored pencils, a black Sharpie, a pencil, some white glue, a glue stick, 2 popsicle sticks. You'll also need brown and white construction paper. These are both cut at 4 inches by 6 inches. 1 piece of cardstock or cardboard. 2 outlines of a hot air balloon. And then 3 outlines of a hot air balloon with lines for writing. And 1 worksheet with your questions on it. Once you get all your materials ready, let's get started. For the first step of this project, we're going to need to make the basket for underneath the hot air balloon. So I want you to take out your brown construction paper and the 2 pieces of white construction paper. You'll also need your glue, scissors, rulers, and number 2 pencil for this step, so you can put everything else aside. Lucky for me, I've already pre-cut my pieces of paper, but if you haven't cut your paper, you're going to need a white sheet of paper, and you're going to take your ruler. You're going to mark a dot at the end of 4 inches, and you're going to mark another dot at the end of 4 inches, and you're going to make sure this is 6 inches long in total, so you're going to put a dot here and a dot here. And then you're going to connect your lines. So flip your ruler over. And then you cut it out. And you'll repeat that process 2 more times until you have 2 white pieces of paper and 1 brown sheet. Okay, once you finish that, you can take your paper and you're going to fold them all in half. You can take them together and fold them in half if you want, because this will be a small book. All right, there you go. Once you fold it in half, you're going to take your bottle of white glue and you're going to run a small bead of glue in the very center crack. So you just want to run a little bit of glue. Not too much, not too little. So just a real thin amount of glue there. And make sure it's even. Then you take your white piece of paper and you stick it in there. All right, just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing again. So you're going to lay a little white bead of glue in here. And don't put too much, otherwise all your pages will stick together and you won't be able to open your book. So just a little bead of glue and the next page goes in. So you can slide it all the way into the crack and make sure they're all lined up. A little bit of glue might come out of the end, so if you're pressing down and some glue comes out on your fingers, that's okay. Just wash your hands when you're done. And you can fold your book up and set it aside to dry for now. All right, the next step of your project, you're going to need you put away your glue and your ruler, and you're going to need your worksheet and your pencil. Now that I have my worksheet, I'm going to write my name on the top of the paper, and I know you'll be using pencil, but I'll be using Sharpie just so you can see it better. So I'm going to write Mr. Jason, because it's my paper, and I'm going to fill out the worksheet. So it says, my hot air balloon adventure. Where? Where would you travel? I would travel to, let me think. I think I would go to Alaska. And the next question says, when would you go? I would travel in the winter. And the reason I want to travel in the winter is because I want to see the northern lights. Who? Who would you go with? I would go with my brother. I'm going to write in brother here. right. Great, so now I have an example that I can transfer onto my line sheet of paper, and I'm going to transfer where onto one page, I'm going to transfer when onto the next page, and I'm going to transfer who onto the last page. As you can see, I'm taking the question and I'm putting it at the top, and I'm taking our line with our answer in it and I'm writing it underneath. So my paper reads, where? I would travel to Alaska. The next one reads, when? I would travel in the winter. And the last one I still need to do, so let's just finish that up. I'm going to copy who at the top, and the next line I will copy is, I would go with my brother. All right, let's finish this up. Now that I'm done with those, I'm almost finished with all my writing. I just want to make the cover page. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to, instead of writing I'm going to write Mr. Jason's, and I'm going to write Hot Air Balloon Adventure underneath it. So let's get started on that. Once you finish writing your cover, it's time to color and design your hot air balloon. So you can take out your other hot air balloon blank sheet and you can put away the other things for now because you're not going to need them at the moment. But before we get started coloring your hot air balloon, let's look at some examples of other hot air balloons that exist in real life. I saw some pretty cool hot air balloons, didn't you? Alright, well I'm going to keep my hot air balloon simple, and I'm just going to do the striped rainbow version that is very classic. I'm going to get started on that. Now that I've finished drawing my lines, I'm going to grab my colored pencils and I'm going to color my picture. You can use whatever you want at this point. It's up to you. You can use markers, crayons, colored pencils. I've just chosen to use colored pencils because it won't bleed through my paper. All right, let's get to work. Once you're finished coloring, you can grab your scissors, your glue stick, and your where, when, and who paper, and you can cut out your shapes. So first, we're going to cut out all our hot air balloons. Once you've finished cutting out your hot air balloon pieces, you're going to take one of them and your piece of cardstock. Take your pencil, put your hot air balloon upside down just in case you write on any of it, and you're going to lightly trace around your hot air balloon with your pencil onto your cardstock or cardboard. So we're going to lightly trace it, and then we are going to cut it out. Now that I'm finished cutting this out, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to take out my worksheet because I want to put my pages in order, going the front cover first, then I'm going to do the where sheet, so I'm going to find that one, and then the next I'm going to do when, and last who, and then finally my back cover. And I'm going to take all these pages and I'm going to fold them in half, going this way. So I'm going to do my best and try to line up the edges and fold all my pages in half. Once I finish folding them, I'm going to glue them together. So I'm going to take them and I'm going to flip them over so that my cover page is on the top, and I'm going to turn it over so it looks like a full balloon, And I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to put glue on this side. So the white side, the side that's not colored. So I'm gluing the backs of all the pages together. And I'm going to put glue on this side just to make sure it's glued correctly. So there we go. And before the glue dries, I'm going to stick these two pages together and line up the edges the best I can. And I'm going to continue folding each page and repeating the steps until my whole book is glued in on the other side. Just a little tip that I realized while I was doing this project, you only need to put glue on one side, and the main thing that you have to watch out for is that your pages line up on the crease. So you want this side to be lined up and the top. So the very top of this and this line need to be lined up in order for the book to work. All right, back to it. Now that that's complete, your project should look like this, and you should have pages that turn. But as you can see, Mr. Jason didn't do a great job gluing his pages down, and at this point I can take my scissors and I can trim off the edge. So I'm going to grab my scissors real quick, and I'm just going to lightly trim around the edge so that everything is even. All right. Now you're going to take your cardstock, and you're done with your worksheet, so you can put this away. And you're going to glue this side onto this side of your cardstock, and you're going to take the back side and glue that onto your cardstock. And this should line up perfectly with the outline that you drew originally. So we're going to glue that down now. Once you finish that, you're going to take your white glue and your two popsicle sticks, and you're going to need your little book just so you can judge where it needs to be. But you're going to glue your popsicle sticks onto the back of your cardstock now. So you're going to glue them somewhere there, and you want them to hook up with the basket. So you want them to be somewhere around there. So next I'm going to glue it down. And then we're going to set this aside and let it dry for a little bit. Once this is dried, you can flip it over, and you're going to use this to do the very last step of your project. Now this is going to be the basket for the bottom of your hot air balloon. So I'm going to take my scissors and just give it a little bit more shape like a basket and not cut too much off. I'm just going to round the bottom corners, and you don't have to do this. I just want to give it a little bit of shape. I'm going to cut a little bit of more of a basket shape out of it. Alright, I'm going to do the same to the other side. Alright, now that I'm finished with the basket is going to be the photo album for my hot air balloon. And it's going to go at the bottom here, at the end of these two popsicle sticks. But I'm going to draw it flat on surface and then glue it on later. So the first page, I'm going to write my photos, because this is going to be the photo album to your story, and you're going to draw pictures to go with each page. Now that I've finished my cover page for this photo album, I'm going to turn to the first page of my story, and I'm going to turn down one page in the photo album, and I'm going to draw a corresponding picture. So I'm going to draw a picture of Alaska on my first page. Now that I'm finished drawing Alaska, I can move on from the where. And I'm going to turn to the next page, which is the when. And I'm going to flip to the next page of my photo album. And I'm going to draw something that reminds me of winter. So I'm going to draw a snowman and an outdoor scene. Now that I'm finished drawing my when picture, I can turn the page and I'm going to turn down in my photo album and I'm going to draw the who. So I'm going to draw a picture of me and my brother. Now that I'm all finished with that, I can take my photo album, put some glue on the popsicle sticks, and I can glue my photo album down. And I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. Set that there nicely. All right. Now, the front of your basket you can take and you can write your name on it. You can add some stickers. You can add detail if you want, but I'm just going to leave mine plain. So, once your project is dry, you now have a storybook. And each page of your storybook will have a corresponding picture to go along with it. Where? Alaska. When? In the winter. And with who? My brother. Well, I hope you like this project. Till next time. Bye.